Hey, I'm Steph Shep, and welcome back to the Clean Academy, where we are diving into all things sustainability. So we've covered the importance of sourcing and testing ingredients used to create our favorite beauty products. But now let's talk about packaging. There's a lot to unpack with this one, pun intended. And honestly, there's no perfect solution yet. But today we're gonna talk with my friend Kelly from How2Recycle to understand why sustainable packaging is so difficult, what all the buzzwords actually mean, and how we can be more mindful about packaging when shopping. Hi, Kelly.
Hi,
Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
I have been blowing up your phone trying to get all of the information from you. You are so knowledgeable about the recycling process and the infrastructure, and I can't wait to get into this. You know, there's so much information, so much misinformation, so I'm happy you're here today to set the record straight. I'd love for you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about the How2Recycle program at the Sustainable Packaging Coalition.
I am Kelly Cramer, and I lead the How2Recycle program at Sustainable Packaging Coalition. And How2Recycle is an on-package labeling system that tells consumers exactly what to do with all parts of their packaging, and we also give recyclability feedback to brands trying to make more recyclable packaging. And then Sustainable Packaging Coalition is an environmental nonprofit that brings companies together from all across the packaging supply chain, and we give them tools and resources to help them make packaging that's better for the environment.
I feel like we always hear the term sustainable. It's always being thrown around in all different kinds of contexts. So what does sustainable packaging actually mean?
There is no such thing as a perfectly sustainable package. The packaging designer needs to take into consideration several key elements for a package to be sustainable in what we call the life cycle of the packaging. So first, we need to think about the materials that the packaging is made out of and were they sourced sustainably. And then we think about the actual packaging design and whether or not it's using the least amount of material to protect the product. And then material health is the third consideration, and that refers to selecting materials that are healthier for the environment and for human health, and also designing packaging to be either reusable, recyclable, or compostable.
Similarly, you know, the way that we think about sourcing ingredients for formulas, we also need to think about how that formula is presented and packaged for a consumer. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Everything that we consume is made of materials and stuff. We need to be thoughtful about where those materials are coming from and what is the overall environmental footprint of that material. And there are going to be different sourcing considerations for different materials. So some things to look for are recycled content. So it's really good if packaging is made out of recycled material, because that means that it's made out of stuff that has had another life before it was this package that you have in your hand. Another term that you may have heard of is biobased. And this refers to materials that are made from renewable resources. And so that usually means plants. And paper is bio-based because it's made from trees, but plastic can also be bio-based in some circumstances.
So there's bio-based, bioplastic, recycled content. I always hear like biodegradable and compostable, and I don't know really the difference.
Those terms get used interchangeably and they don't mean the same things. When we hear the terms biodegradable or compostable, that refers to an end-of-life consideration for packaging. So when we're done with the packaging, can we compost it? Can we recycle it? That is a different thing than if something is bio-based. There are different choices that a packaging designer can make where they can be using a bio-based material, but maybe an ingredient that they add to the packaging makes it not compostable anymore. And so we tend to keep these concepts really separate. Some bioplastics or bio-based materials are recyclable, and some of them are compostable, And some of them are both, and some of them are neither.
As a consumer, how do we know which are which?
You know if something's compostable if there is a third-party certification somewhere on the package that says that it's compostable. Biodegradability doesn't have the same level standards. If something is made out of bioplastics, it usually, not always, but it usually will say so on the package.
We hear brands talk about recycled content, aka PCR. Why aren't more brands using recycled content? You'd think that that would be a better option rather than using virgin plastic.
It is a better option in most circumstances. Recycled material is coming from the recycling system, and so recycling is an economic activity, and so we need a demand pull for those materials. So it's important for a brand, if they're making packaging that's recyclable and they're pushing that packaging into the world, if they're not buying that material back in the form of recycled content, then they're not helping the economics of recycling as much if they were using it. And so recycled material, it stimulates the economics of recycling, and it also ensures that we'll still be able to continue to recycle those materials. Something also about recycled content is certain plastics, when you use recycled plastics in packaging, it might have a slightly different color. They think that consumers won't like that, so we can use our purchase power as consumers to tell brands that this is important, and then they're more likely to work hard to overcome other challenges in using that recycled material.
So is it more expensive to use recycled content now that there's more of a demand for it? And can you use recycled content in tandem with a bioplastic? Can you mix the two?
A really good sourcing strategy would be to use recycled content as much as they're able for whatever reason, and then for the remainder, consider using bioplastics. And sometimes recycled material is more expensive. It really depends on the material, but if a brand has values where they think it's important to support a circular economy, then they're going to be more likely to use recycled material. And something else that you mentioned is that consumers don't necessarily know what to do with packaging when they're done with it, whether it's recyclable. And if something is made of recycled content, it doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is recyclable.
Oh man.
Look for recycled content when, as a sourcing consideration, is this material made out of recycled content, and then look for transparent third-party labeling to let you know whether it is recyclable. So they are two different things. Sometimes they overlap, but not always.
It's so important to really have that labeling and that consumer knowledge and brand transparency so that we can figure out what to do with all of our stuff.
A lot of brands, they think that consumers don't need all this information. So the more information that a brand is sharing, the more likely they are to be committed to sustainability. What's really good is to get to know your local recycling program and understand just the basic types of packaging that they accept.
What about over packaging?
You would be shocked if you start paying attention how much packaging is actually there just for marketing and for no other reason, to make you feel good, or they think that you'll think it's cute or something. And so you do see that a lot more often in e-commerce.
And then it kind of defeats the whole purpose. If you have your clean product, your sustainable product, and then you've got this massive box.
Absolutely. And so you don't want to under package, but there is a point where you're using more material than you need.
Some companies are doing an amazing job, innovating, using less material and packaging. I'd love to know some of the cool technologies and examples you've seen.
One of my favorite examples is from Unilever. It's a Dove body wash, and they actually developed a technology where they took the plastic bottle, but they injected air bubbles on the inside of it that you can't even see, but it reduces the overall amount of plastic that they need by 15%.
So what should we look for when we're shopping to see if a product was made with more sustainable materials?
So some things that you can look for are paper packaging. If it's not made out of recycled content, you can look for whether that virgin fiber came from a forest that was sustainably managed. So icons like the FSC and SFI are things you can look for on paper packaging. If you are shopping for bioplastics, the USDA Bio Preferred label will let you know that it's gone through that third-party verification. For recyclability, the How2Recycle label is the organization that I work with, and we are an independent third party that does an in-depth analysis on the recyclability of every package. And we say exactly what you need to do with the package at the end of its life. Do you need to rinse it out? Do you need to put the cap back on? And we even tell people when not to recycle something, which is just as important. So those are some third-party verifications that you can look for when you're shopping.
So this is obviously a very complex topic, and we're just scratching the surface here today. So I would love to do my favorite round of rapid fire questions to kind of recap everything that we've learned.
Great.
Down? I love rapid fire questions. Maybe I'm like the only one that loves them because I get really excited about it. So first question. What is the most sustainable packaging?
A package that is made out of sustainably sourced materials, has an optimized design and isn't overpackaged, and is recyclable.
What is the biggest misconception about packaging?
The biggest misconception about packaging is that packaging is bad. It really did serve an important purpose to get to you, and it's more valuable to be mindful about your consumption in the first place and reduce.
That's so true. It's like just reduce what you're buying. It's a great thing to keep in mind. I need to tell myself that because I am a hoarder and I like to buy 6 of everything. Last question, Kelly. What is the most important thing consumers can do?
Buy products from companies who are prioritizing packaging sustainability. So use your power as a consumer. It really does make a difference.
Yes, it so makes a difference. I can't stress that point enough. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. I'm literally gonna blow up your phone for the next couple weeks because I really wanna understand this whole process. I so appreciate your time and I appreciate all the work that you do at How2Recycle with the Sustainable Packaging Coalition.
Thank you so much.
Click the next video to learn about what comes after you purchase. Don't forget to leave a comment or question below.